That's an ongoing challenge that I present to chefs, is teaching people how to turn their family cookbook, how to update their family cookbook with healthier alternatives. We have to revise these cookbooks because a lot of families have a family cookbook where they're simply passing down recipes for cardiovascular disease. I challenge chefs all the time. Help people update this family cookbook so that they can maintain their traditions and not maintain the tradition of high blood pressure and diabetes. A lot of people think they have the high blood pressure and diabetes running their family, when the truth of the matter is bad diets that produce high blood pressure and diabetes run in their family. Change how you eat, you will change the health outcomes for your entire family. And as a chef, as a nutritionist, as a dietitian, you have the opportunity to have that kind of generational impact on people. Many people are open to this. They're ready for change. They just don't know how to do it. And when you teach them how to substitute some of these dishes, how to modify some of these dishes, how to introduce new dishes to become a part of the family tradition, and teaching people how to eat healthy, this is what you have the ability to do as a chef hosting a cooking show. And the impact that you can have is, again, generational. You teach this generation, and then that's what they're cooking and feeding the little people. So they come up, and now that's what they're going to teach, and that's what they're going to cook and feed and teach to their little people. And so now you have changed the health outcomes for an entire family by starting with the generation that you have now, whichever one you have access to that wants to learn from you, and they update those family cookbooks, and then that gets passed down, and now we no longer have a history of high blood pressure in our family. We no longer have a history of diabetes in our family. And I'm going to show you another example of what that can look like. This is a sweet potato. No, I'm sorry. This is a black eyed pea burger created by Sharon Reed, owner of RX Catering. And this is an example of how you can change family traditions. This burger should become a staple at the cookout. Instead of a traditional beef burger, having families introduce something like this into the cookout this summer is going to change some diets. Thank you for joining me, everybody. Welcome to The Main Ingredient. I'm your host, Lindsay Ruffin, cooking show advisor and owner of Park Road Studios, where we make cooking shows easy. A cooking show is a fantastic work from home business model, and it solves a real problem that we have, a global problem that we have right now, the public health crisis because of ultra processed food. A lot of people are sick, chronic illnesses that are completely preventable through changes in their diet, or completely reversible through changes in their diet. And we need a lot more food education. People just don't know how to eat to live anymore. And with a cooking show, you can help people with that problem and get paid to do it. And that's why I host these live streams, to show you the opportunities and explain the different ways that you can use the cooking show to help folks and build a profitable business that will free you financially. Today, we're going to discuss a paper that I saw recently, of yesterday, just yesterday actually. It was a survey done, apparently the first ever national survey on public awareness about, in the United States, public awareness about food as medicine. And the researchers conducted some surveys with 3,000 Americans, asking questions about food as medicine and how food can be used to incorporate or to help people achieve wellness, as opposed to prescription medications and such. And the research, there's some very useful information in the survey responses, but the survey itself, in my personal opinion, was a bit problematic. I think how they're framing this issue and how they developed the questions is what produced the answers that they got. And it just, it looks like they started out with the wrong objective in mind as a solution, and developed a survey that had people answering questions that would lead to the result that they had already planned for. And I just don't think it's the right direction. I think these people are very well intentioned, the researchers, but the approach And the solution that they're proposing, I don't believe is the real solution, the correct solution. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. For the folks on Instagram, I always tell my folks on Instagram, you're going to have a much better experience if you watch this live stream on YouTube. I'm going to be showing you things that are going to require the full screen, and you're not going to be able to see that on Instagram. So I only broadcast to Instagram because I know there's lots of chefs there who are trying to use Instagram to grow their business. And YouTube is actually a much better platform for you. So I go to you where you are on Instagram and encourage you to come over to YouTube where I can serve you better and where you can serve your audience better and get better results for your business. So let's take a look at this paper. And I found out about this on LinkedIn. That's another important point that I want to make. So many people, not just chefs, my target audience is chefs, but so many people, business owners, are not using LinkedIn. And that's the platform where the decision makers hang out. That's where issues are discussed at a high level. You have an opportunity to participate in those conversations and establish yourself as a thought leader in your industry. And for chefs who are serious about being a professional chef and taking yourself to the next level, LinkedIn is the platform that you want to be participating on. Everybody's on Instagram. Everybody is on Instagram, but the folks who are on LinkedIn and actually leading discussions on topics that are relevant to their industry, that puts you in a whole different group. It puts you in a realm of a whole different opportunities. So I want to encourage you to go to LinkedIn and start getting active. You can just watch and see what's going on, and then you'll see opportunities for you to participate. And I think for many of you, particularly the Gen X and above chefs, I'm Gen X, that's generally who I'm talking to, the grown folks, you will find that LinkedIn is a platform where there are conversations that you'll find it easier to participate than on Instagram and YouTube, Instagram and TikTok and such, where you have to be so entertaining. LinkedIn, you can just participate in a conversation, a professional conversation, and that can be your social media engagement for the day. And it does pay off. So, in this paper, as well as I did a video a couple of days ago about another paper where, again, they're going in the wrong direction. These decision makers, these researchers, in terms of the solution to the public health crisis that we're having. And by engaging these folks on the platform where they're participating, where they're sharing this information, you have an opportunity, just like I'm taking the opportunity, to participate in that conversation and introduce them to different perspectives and different potential solutions so that we can work together and be a part of the solution rather than you just seeing things happen and not agreeing with it. You can actually participate. So let's get back to this paper. So the title, First National Perception Survey of Food as Medicine Programs show strong public support. Researchers have conducted the first national survey on public awareness and perceptions of food and food as medicine programs. A team at the Food as Medicine Institute found that nearly 90% of Americans agreed that eating healthy foods is important for preventing conditions like obesity, high blood pressure, and type 2 diabetes. The results revealed that while 30% have heard of the food as medicine movement, more than half would try a produce prescription, medically tailored grocery, or medically tailored meal program if offered through their healthcare providers. Among those with food and nutrition insecurity, interest in participating rises to nearly 70%. So I'm pause right here. More than half would try a produce prescription, medically tailored grocery, or medically tailored meal program. So a produce prescription, eat your vegetables. That's what they're talking about. Eat healthy fruits and vegetables. That's a produce prescription. Medically tailored grocery or medically tailored meal program, that's meal prep. Any chef, nutritionist, or dietitian can provide a meal prep program for you. You can find, man. So this is what I was talking about when I said they. It looks like they started with the goal of developing a government based or healthcare based solution to our food problem, our food education problem. And so they craft questions that would lead people to, nobody said they were looking for a medically tailored grocery, a produce prescription, or a medically tailored meal program. Those are not the words that regular people use. Those are the words that you give people a multiple choice survey, and those are the responses that they get to pick from. Well, yeah, they will pick, yeah, I would like a produce prescription. I would like a medically tailored meal program. I think that would be helpful. Well, yeah, that's not really. So we're trying to put that burden on medical professionals, on the doctors. They already have enough to do. Number one, they have too much to do. And this is not their job. Food education is not a doctor's job. They already have too many things to cover in the appointment window when they're dealing with a patient. They can't be delivering food education. How does that even make sense? So that's why I'm saying the researchers here, they have the right intent, but I think the path that they're going down for a solution is not the right path, because we do have professionals who specialize in these areas in food education. We got chefs, we have nutritionists, we have dietitians. We do not need doctors to take on this responsibility. Additionally, more than two-thirds of those surveyed felt that government programs like Medicare and Medicaid should cover food as medicine initiatives, while about half of the participants said that private insurance should also pay. Yeah, this is putting the government as the solution and health insurance as the solution. We already know these institutions do not work. They're not serving us now in the capacity that they're supposed to. Food education is really not their responsibility, well, the government's responsibility, but it's not the responsibility of the insurance industry. Why would we expect the insurance industry to provide health food education solutions? It's hard enough getting them to pay the claims on legitimate claims on health matters when people have paid their money for insurance all these years and they finally have a condition and they need help with. We having enough problems getting them to pay legitimate claims. Getting them to pay for food education, I don't see that as the solution. That's the job of a chef, that's the job of a nutritionist, that's the job of a dietitian, and these are folks who can deliver that education more directly, more quickly, and far more effectively than the government or insurance companies ever will be able to. This study affirms that the public understands the importance of food in their health, but they don't always have the means to access the food that they want. We were struck by the disconnect we found in clinical settings. Only a quarter of respondents reported that their primary care provider had asked if they had enough food to eat, and fewer than half had conversations about diet during their clinical encounters. Yeah, I'm guessing only a quarter responded that their primary care provider asked if they had enough food to eat. We have an obesity crisis, so I'm really wondering how many doctors are seeing people who look like they're not getting enough food to eat. That's probably not a large number of folks, and that's why that percentage is low. The common experiences reflected in the survey are likely due to healthcare providers not having received nutrition education during their training, as well as being burdened for time to get through many topics in a single appointment. In her conversations with doctors and nurses, she's heard that's uh, Ridgeberg, one of the researchers, she has heard that they can feel uncomfortable about asking about food and nutrition insecurity, and don't often know the right resources to give patients. The reason they're not comfortable asking these questions and don't know the resources to provide is because this is not their job. It is not the job of a doctor or a nurse to provide food education. We have other professionals, entire career fields that are dedicated to food education. So placing that additional burden on doctors and nurses just does not make sense to me. And this is where the opportunity is for you, chef. Primarily, I talk to chefs, but any dietitians, nutritionists looking at this, take the data from this, take the answers that they're getting from the public about how people would appreciate more food education. They need help with food education. They just don't know where to go, what to do. That is a vacuum or a void that you can step into and fill. And the way I recommend doing it is YouTube, and we'll talk about more about that later. But a YouTube cooking show is where you have the opportunity to deliver all the food education that anybody could ever want and build a business for yourself at the same time. Based on the survey, about half of Americans will be likely to make positive dietary changes if they had regular conversations about their habits with care providers. Over 80% of respondents agree that they would take steps to eat healthier if they knew it would help them feel better, treat a health condition, or reduce their risk of future disease. But many people are facing financial barriers, with 83% of those surveyed reporting the cost of healthy food as the most frequent barrier to its consumption, and over 50% believing that healthcare should help reimburse or provide for some healthy food. So that's two separate things we're going to talk about. First, we're going to go over this first part where over 80% of respondents agreed that they would take steps to eat healthier if they knew it would help them feel better, treat a health condition, or reduce their risk for future disease. Many people just do not know that food is medicine. They don't understand or just don't know that you can prevent and you can reverse chronic health conditions, chronic illnesses by what you eat. Type 2 diabetes is a chronic disease that comes from what you put in your mouth. High blood pressure, for many people, perhaps most, some folks have a genetic predisposition. Other folks, is coming from consuming too much salt. What you eat determines your health. You can definitely have an impact, even if you are one of those few number of people who actually will need medication to help you control it no matter what you do. There's still so much you can control to reduce how much of that medication you would need to take. And for most people, you can avoid taking it at all. And the example here that I'm going to cite is a real world example. I'm going to introduce you to Chef Shelley Loving. Shelley is a chef now. She didn't used to be a chef, but her husband had a heart attack at age 41, and she realized that she had to learn how to cook better so that they could be more healthy and she could keep her husband. And so Shelley went on an education journey, and she tells you all about it on her website and her YouTube channel. And I'll provide links to all those resources in the show notes for this video. That'll be in the description box on the YouTube channel for most people. Yeah, Shelley went on that education journey because she was scared to death. Her husband had that heart attack, and okay, now what? What do I do now? And so she went on this education journey, signed up for whatever culinary school she went to. I can't remember, but she's gotten certifications and become a certified chef, and she specializes in anti-inflammatory recipes. Shelley is the living, breathing example of what I'm talking about that a chef can do with regard to food education. And we can take a look at, so here's Shelley right here. This is her website, shelleycanhelp.com. You can also find Shelley on Instagram at Shelley Can Help, Facebook, YouTube at Shelley Can Help, everywhere. And so on her website, she has tons of anti-inflammatory recipes. And I mean a ton. Everything on Shelley's website, everything she teaches is about anti-inflammation. And she's also doing it now on YouTube.
Hi there.
Mute this. And this is what I'm talking about. Using YouTube as a platform for delivering food education. There's no better way to do it than YouTube. YouTube is the number one TV streaming app in US households. Netflix is second place. YouTube is number one, and the lead is growing. I can show you some data on that, actually. This is from April of 2024. YouTube. These are Nielsen ratings. So the company that the organization that specializes in tracking TV ratings and always has, these are their data. YouTube is number one at 9.6%. Netflix is at 7.6%. That's a 2 percentage point difference, but YouTube is number one. This was April of 2024. In December of 2024, YouTube has expanded. It's gone from 9.6% to now 11.1%. Netflix is at 8.5%. So now it's a 2.5 or 2.6 percentage point difference increase, which may not seem like a lot, but it's actually quite significant. And what's more significant is that it's growing, it's increasing. YouTube is increasing its dominance in the household. YouTube is the number one TV streaming platform in US households. More people are watching YouTube than they do any other TV streaming platform. The other big accomplishment, that was what I was trying to remember. The other significant achievement that YouTube has made recently is that more people are now watching YouTube on their television than they are on their mobile devices. So people are deciding to sit down, turn on the TV, and watch YouTube rather than watch it on their phone. And this is significant. That cannot be understated for anyone who is interested in either growing a business or simply just educating people. With YouTube, you're reaching people where they are. Everybody uses YouTube. It's the second most visited website in the world behind only Google. It's the second biggest search engine in the world behind only Google. When people are looking for answers, they go to Google, then they go to YouTube, which Google sends people to YouTube. So if you're trying to educate people, YouTube is where you want to be. That's where people are searching for answers. That's where people are going for education. YouTube is also number one with teens. The Pew Research Center did a study in 2024, and I'll just read you the highlight of it right here. YouTube tops the list of the platforms we asked about in our survey. 9 in 10 teens report using the site, slightly down from 95% in 2022. And then they show you can see here on the graphic, and I'll put again, will be another resource that's linked in the show notes. YouTube is up here at 90%, TikTok 63%, Instagram, Snapchat, et cetera, et cetera. This is going back to my point. Everybody uses YouTube. When you think teens, people are probably first thinking, well, yeah, they're all on TikTok. No, they're all on YouTube. A lot of them are on TikTok, but they're all on YouTube. So if you're trying to educate people, educate young people, YouTube is where you go. And you don't have to do the beauty of YouTube is that you get to be yourself as an adult. You get to just communicate in long format the same way you would communicate with people in the real world. You don't have to make hyper animated videos and have fancy soundtracks and lots of special effects. You get to just deliver your education, and the people who are looking for it will find it, and you can build your business that way. Or if you're not in it for business, you're not in it for making money, you just want to educate people, there's no better place to put that knowledge that you want to share than on YouTube. So let's go back to this paper. So we were talking about, pick up where we left off. Half would make positive dietary changes if they had regular conversations about their habits with healthcare providers. They would eat better if they knew it would help them feel better or treat a health condition. Yeah, going back to Shelley for a second, the education that she's delivering on an anti-inflammatory diet, you won't find anything better. Follow her on whatever platform you want to follow her, and follow her lead if you have the ability to do that in terms of delivering education yourself. She teaches anti-inflammatory teas, all these different recipes, ingredients to avoid, things that you want to include specifically for anti-inflammation. It's common, not common sense. It's delivering complicated information in a way that people can process it, in a way that they can digest it. There's no better training vehicle than a cooking show, in my opinion. When we're talking about food education, there's no better way than a cooking show because you don't have to beat people over the head with the information. All you do is show them a recipe, you explain what it is you're doing and why you chose this particular ingredient, why you substituted this ingredient for that ingredient, or other things that a person could substitute it with. This is how you deliver food education in a way that people can digest it, and this is how you also do it consistently. Nobody's going to see their doctor every single week to get food education. It's just not practical for anybody. But through YouTube, and specifically a YouTube cooking show, you can deliver food education to people on an ongoing basis, on a weekly basis. And then over time, with this library of videos that you build up where you're delivering food education, when people discover your channel, like Shelley's channel is all about anti-inflammation, anti-inflammatory diet, a person who is in need of that type of food education now has a resource that they have 24/7 access to where they can get everything they need. I cannot emphasize enough the opportunity that YouTube presents for you to teach people. And if you want to build a business, build a business. So the second part of this paragraph I wanted to talk about, but many people are facing financial barriers, with 83% of those surveyed reporting the cost of healthy food as the most frequent barrier to consumption. Yeah, this healthy food costs more issue is a real issue, and I believe it's an issue. This is where the government has the opportunity and really the obligation to be the solution, because the government is the problem. In the United States, the number one and number two crop in terms of subsidies every year are corn and soybeans. Corn and soybeans often are also the primary ingredients in all ultra processed food. So the reason bad food is cheaper is because the government is subsidizing it. The number one and the number two most subsidized crops every year are corn and soybeans, and those are the primary ingredients in the entire spectrum of ultra processed food. The government is providing the low cost ingredients that are used to create these horrible food products. That's where the government can be the solution. If there were no subsidies on corn and soybeans, for example, if that just went somewhere else or just went away, it's possible that bad food and good food would cost the same. Well, if you shifted those subsidies from corn and soybeans into healthy whole foods and healthy whole food programs, it's possible, perhaps likely, that healthy food would cost less than junk food. Well, ultra processed food, it costs less because it's so heavily subsidized by the government. That's a no-brainer in terms of what can the government do? Where can we look for solutions from the government to help with this public health crisis? If the government would stop making ultra processed food so cheap, healthy food wouldn't cost more relatively, by comparison. We can shift those dollars if there were desire to do it, to address the disparity in price between ultra processed food and healthy food. And then this part here, 50% believing that healthcare should help reimburse or provide for some healthy food. Yeah, that's not happening. And that appears to be a response that is I would estimate is the result of a question framed in such a way that, how do you think your healthcare provider should reimburse you for healthy food or provide for? If you ask that question, that's the answer that you're going to get. But that's not, we can't look to the insurance companies to pay for our groceries. That's not going to work. So let's talk about real solutions, not things that never going to happen. After cost, the most common hurdles reported to healthy eating included family traditions that centered around eating unhealthy foods, a lack of healthy options where people go shopping, stores or food pantries that sell healthy foods are too far away, and not knowing what foods are considered healthy. So this first one right here, family traditions that center around unhealthy foods, that's an ongoing challenge that I present to chefs, is teaching people how to turn their family cookbook, how to update their family cookbook with healthier alternatives. We have to revise these cookbooks because a lot of families have a family cookbook where they're simply passing down recipes for cardiovascular disease. I challenge chefs all the time. Help people update this family cookbook so that they can maintain their traditions and not maintain the tradition of high blood pressure and diabetes. A lot of people think they have the high blood pressure and diabetes running their family, when the truth of the matter is bad diets that produce high blood pressure and diabetes run in their family. Change how you eat, you will change the health outcomes for your entire family. And as a chef, as a nutritionist, as a dietitian, you have the opportunity to have that kind of generational impact on people. If you teach folks how to change, first of all, they have to understand that what they're eating, these recipes that they're preparing, what's the impact of this? What is this causing? This is why folks in your family are having high blood pressure. Look at what y'all are eating. Once you've educated people on, okay, here's the problem, you now provide them with solutions. Many people are open to this. They're ready for change. They just don't know how to do it. And when you teach them how to substitute some of these dishes, how to modify some of these dishes, how to introduce new dishes to become a part of the family tradition, and teaching people how to eat healthy, this is what you have the ability to do as a chef hosting a cooking show. And the impact that you can have is, again, generational. You teach this generation, and then that's what they're cooking and feeding the little people. So they come up, and now that's what they're going to teach, and that's what they're going to cook and feed and teach to their little people. And so now you have changed the health outcomes for an entire family by starting with the generation that you have now, whichever one you have access to that wants to learn from you, and they update those family cookbooks, and then that gets passed down, and now we no longer have a history of high blood pressure in our family. We no longer have a history of diabetes in our family. And I'm going to show you another example of what that can look like. Another real world example. This is a sweet potato. No, I'm sorry. This is a black eyed pea burger created by Sharon Reed, owner of RX Catering. And this is an example of how you can change family traditions. This burger should become a staple at the cookout. Instead of a traditional beef burger, having families introduce something like this into the cookout this summer is going to change some diets. This is way healthier than a beef burger, and it tastes way better. I have no desire for beef burgers anymore. I've had so many different ones that Sharon has created that were not made out of beef. It's it's just an entirely different experience. It's more flavorful. You don't feel heavy. It's not like you're not just transferring this mass into you that you're now carrying around. It's just and you it's just a better solution. And something that Sharon will tell you, she's been running her catering business for 19 years. This is Sharon preparing that particular burger, that black eyed pea burger. Something that Sharon will tell you is when you prepare meals for your vegans, if you're having an event and you're preparing meals for your vegans, you got to make more than what you think. She gets catered, she has corporate catering clients, and they will have, request 50 lunches, and we need 5 of them to be vegan. And she'll tell them you'll need way more vegan options, vegan lunches than you think, because the non-vegans will eat these and the vegans will have nothing to eat. People who have the choice of whatever they want to eat, they will choose the vegan options to the point that all the vegan meals will be gone. And then your vegans don't have anything to eat because they can't eat a meat option. The meat eaters will eat the vegan options. The vegans cannot eat the meat options. And that happens all the time. She counsels people all the time. How many vegans you got? Yeah, we're going to have more meals than you think, because it's not going to be 1-to-1. The non-vegans will take these meals because everybody is looking to eat healthier. Everybody's interested in improving their health. And when there's a vegan option presented, they're going to try it. And if it's good, they're going to tell people. And now more people are trying it. So again, introducing that black eyed pea burger to the cookout is a way to bring this new style of eating, this healthier eating, into the family tradition. So now we have another fan favorite at the cookout. And a couple of years ago, she made this burger. This one's a sweet potato black bean burger. And this is another cookout favorite, another opportunity for a cookout favorite. It's a more enjoyable burger for me than a beef burger. So now you got the sweet potato black bean burger, you got your black eyed pea burger, and you got your beef burger. And you let people choose. You can have fun with it. It could be a competition, whatever we do all kinds of fun things when summertime comes, and the cookout, we can turn food education into one of those family fun activities during the summertime. This is how you do it. Teach people how to make a burger and do a taste test. So you're going to have some dedicated meat eaters in the family, and you tell them, go ahead and grill up your best beef burger. And I think the people are going to choose my my black eyed pea burger, or my sweet potato black bean burger over your beef burger. Let's let the fans decide. And that's just one example of a type of fun challenge that we can make food education fun. Chefs, nutritionists, dietitians can make food education fun. Doctors and nurses don't have time for this. This is not their job. This is not, and the government is definitely not going to make food education fun. So another opportunity, because we're still talking about changing the traditional diet in families, let's get some more veggies. Here, we're looking at a vegan breakfast bowl, vegan protein bowl. I can't remember which name she called it, but this is from a vegetarian home cook. She's been vegetarian for decades, has a encyclopedic knowledge about fantastic plant-based dishes. This is an example. This is a breakfast bowl. This breakfast bowl could be part of the solution to this problem we have of so many people going to these weight loss drugs, which are really nothing but appetite suppressants. Rather, all they do is suppress your appetite, and they do that and come with a whole bunch of nasty side effects. Well, what's a natural appetite suppressant? Fiber. Where you get fiber? Vegetables. So if we incorporate more vegetables into our diet, we will be less hungry and eat less Fewer calories is how you lose weight. That's all these weight loss drugs are doing. It's not something magical. They are suppressing people's appetite so they consume fewer calories. Less calories means your weight will go down. That's it. But the cost of these drugs, and well, there's the monetary cost, and then there's the cost to your health with all of these nasty side effects that these drugs have. Whereas you could just eat more vegetables and achieve the same result. And in America, for some reason, we only think you're supposed to eat a little bit of vegetables, a fraction of a portion of vegetables at dinner time, and that's it. And that's probably what the government, the government has done this over a span of decades with its guidance, with, things like the food pyramid and such. Not really good guidance, to be honest. We need to be consuming vegetables throughout the day. We need the nutrition that vegetables provide. We also need the fiber that it provides to make us stop eating. We can control our appetite just by what we eat. Food is medicine. We don't need GLP-1 drugs to suppress appetite. We can just use vegetables. And this breakfast bowl is a fantastic example of that. Introducing a tradition of eating vegetables into a family is how a chef can have a huge impact on people's health. If we can get folks eating vegetables for breakfast, not because they are forced to do it, but because that breakfast bowl is delicious. It is fantastic. I would happily eat that every day or 3 or 4 days a week. Just a staple as a replacement for oatmeal, or much better replacement for breakfast cereal, which is just a scam. That's just dessert. It's it's not even a good dessert. It's dessert for breakfast, and you wonder why your kids can't sit still in school. You feed them a sugar bomb and then send them to school, and they bouncing off the walls. We we got to do better, and we have the ability to do better. And the solution is not doctors providing food education. It is chefs providing food education, nutritionists providing food education, dietitians providing food education, and using YouTube as the platform for delivering it, because YouTube reaches everybody. So let's go back to this paper. So we just addressed those family traditions around unhealthy foods and talking and show some examples of how you can help people establish new family traditions with healthy food. This one right here, not knowing what foods are considered healthy. That's another huge opportunity for people, for chefs, because, well, that's Jessica, the creator of the vegan. Well, she prepared that particular dish. And that's her at home doing her cooking show. She is teaching the world from her home kitchen. This is what anybody who has these skills is capable of doing. Any chef, any nutritionist, any dietitian. And you don't need all this equipment. That's the stuff I use because I do this professionally. I've actually recorded a video with Jessica using just my smartphone, just to demonstrate that you can do that with today's smartphones. All you need is a smartphone, and you can record a video that is indistinguishable from the video that I record with all this other stuff. But going back to teaching people what's healthy and what's not healthy, let's talk about what's on the grocery store shelves. Ultra processed food is everywhere. And if you don't teach people what it is and how to avoid it, how will they know? Exhibit A is good old fashioned Campbell's Chunky Soup. Not as good as it used to be. I was looking at this in the grocery store, just doing some research for a video and looking at the ingredients list. And on the back, you may not be able to see this. Let's see if I can zoom this in a bit. Here we have carrageenan. What is carrageenan? I did not know. I looked it up and found out that carrageenan is some pretty nasty stuff, man. Carrageenan is an emulsifier. a thickening agent, and it's used in a lot of food products when it shouldn't be. It's just carrageenan is known to be problematic. It produces ulcers as well as other really nasty conditions that you don't want to have and that you don't need to be at risk of because you should not be consuming carrageenan. Why are they putting this in our food? Because it's cost effective. These food companies are all about making more money this quarter than they did the last quarter, and that continues every single quarter. And so they've gotten to the point where they're not selling us food, they're just selling us chemicals, vehicles for delivering chemicals because it's cheaper and they can make more money. And carrageenan is an example of that, man. You typically we think chicken noodle soup when somebody's under the weather, and we're gonna give them some chicken noodle soup to bring them back to health, help them recover. Don't want to give them an ulcer, do you? Why do we have carrageenan in our in our food? And it's not just Campbell soup, by the way. It's a lot of products. Carrageenan is problematic to the point that you will now see other companies using it in their labeling, saying no carrageenan in not no ingredients. Carrageenan is not in our ingredients, which is telling you that it's problematic enough that some companies are using it to advertise that their product is carrageenan free. So I encourage you to go through your pantry and start looking around, look at your ingredients list and see if you have things that have carrageenan in it. Well, first look up what carrageenan is. And once you've done that research, that will motivate you to go through your pantry and see if you have anything in it that has carrageenan in it. And then you got some decisions to make. This is the type of food education that you can deliver with a cooking show. You can teach people how to make their own chicken noodle soup in large quantity and preserve it in the freezer or vacuum seal it in jars and explain why they should do this, why you want to take time to prepare your own food. Because if you're choosing convenience over anything else, if you're prioritizing convenience over everything else, you are going to be eating ultra processed food that has all manners of chemicals in it. And that is where your health conditions are coming from. In the United States, we have over 10,000 food additives in our food. In the European Union, they have just over, in Europe, they have just over 400. The reason for that huge disparity is in Europe, companies have to prove that something is not, does not cause any harm before they are allowed to put it in a food product. They have to prove that it is safe. In the United States, companies do not have to prove anything to the government. They get to self-certify that whatever their scientists have concocted in their labs is safe, and they get to put it in their food without, the government doesn't require anything other than the companies self-certifying that it is safe. That is the GRAS standard, GRAS, generally recognized as safe. Look it up. If you're a food industry professional, you need to know about that and understand the implications of it and use that as the foundation for delivering your food education. There's a misconception that many people don't want to eat nourishing foods or that they prefer unhealthy products. But our new results highlight that most Americans want to eat better but face specific barriers and challenges. Our research shows that there is a demand for food-based therapies. Our research shows that there is demand for food-based therapies as part of healthcare, providing valuable information for state and federal policymakers to build momentum toward more holistic, cost-effective healthcare. This could include, for example, increasing nutrition-related training for doctors, supporting cutting-edge research on food as medicine at the National Institutes of Health, and expanding programs and coverage through Medicare, Medicaid, and the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. So what they're talking about here is delivering food education and a lot more of it. And they're talking about doing it through the government and through the insurance companies this, have they not heard of the internet? Have they not heard of YouTube? We we live in a time where it's so easy for any of us to share our knowledge with the world. I'm wondering why in this paper there's no recommendations for grassroots level food education instead of some government program that's, you know, they're going to be fighting over in Congress forever. Where is the advocacy for or the proposal for chefs to teach with a cooking show, nutritionists teach with a cooking show, dietitians teach with a cooking show? Go to YouTube, share your knowledge. So what I want you to take away from this is go take a look at that report yourself. Again, the link will be in the show notes, the description box on the YouTube video, or for the folks in my cooking show accelerator, it'll be in the show notes in the article where I post this. Look at what people are saying they need help with, and then ask yourself, can you provide that type of help, and what would it look like? If you started a cooking show, would you be able to address the needs that these people have through your cooking show? And if so, then let's get your cooking show started. Again, this article focuses on the United States, but we are in a global public health crisis because of what we eat. Chronic diseases have skyrocketed and are continuing to increase. Obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes. Stroke is the fourth leading cause of death in the United States, and 80% of strokes are preventable through dietary changes, according to the CDC. So we're in crisis because of what we eat. The fourth leading cause of death in the United States is our food choices. We can do something about this. You can do something about this by hosting your own cooking show. And that's why I do what I do. I teach chefs how to start a cooking show and build it into a work from home business. This is a fantastic supplemental income strategy for folks who already have a job. It can be a retirement strategy for professional chefs who are, you've been running a restaurant for decades. A lot of folks I encounter a lot of professional chefs who've been professional chefs for decades and they're looking for a way out. The food industry is a physically demanding industry, long hours, running restaurants, running catering businesses, running food trucks. I get it. And if you don't see a way out, food education can be your way out. This can be your transition that allows you to continue doing what you love and doing it in a way that is not so physically demanding on your body and doesn't take so much of your time that you're not spending time with your family the way you want. A cooking show is just a beautiful business model any way you look at it. If you have a passion for teaching people how to cook, there's just no better way to do it. So if you need help with that, use the link in the description box to apply to join my cooking show accelerator. You go to my website and you take a survey that will help you figure out if you have what it takes to host your own cooking show. And if you do, you get invited into my cooking show accelerator, where I have tons of resources to help you get your cooking show started and build it into a revenue generating business. So that's the kind of help you're looking for. That's what I provide. I'm here to help you anytime you get ready.